Everybody keeps asking about One Life, One Chance podcast merchandise. I finally released t-shirts and crewneck sweatshirts. You can go to www.h2omerch.com and you can pre-order right now. It's a worldwide international shipping. Size is small through 5X. If you really want to support the podcast, this is the best direct way to do so. So I appreciate that very much. You can pick up that merch today. Thank you. I want to talk about Disconnected, how it's on Don't Turn Away, right? It's on that record.
Yeah.
But then when it was on Big Choice, it wasn't listed on the record, supposedly on the outside, but it was on the record. Is that true?
Yeah. So what happened is when we went to that label, Victory Music, not Victory Records, the hardcore label. So confusing. They had just done this deal with A&M.
Yeah.
So A&M's distribution was Polygram at the time, and they hadn't run any releases through Polygram's distribution.
Yeah.
So they said, hey guys, could you give us an EP or a single, and then we'll have something to run through Polygram.
Yeah.
So then we kind of know how it works. We'd hate for you to do a full-length album and then have there be some kind of fail with the distribution system.
Yeah.
Let us run this EP through. So we put together an EP that we called Over It. And it basically had songs we'd already recorded that we re-recorded and a couple of new ones. On that EP was Disconnected, along with a bunch of other songs.
Yeah.
So our label, Victory Music, runs it through the Polygram distribution, and A&M is the marketing company on it.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, cool, do it. We're on tour. We're not even paying attention, right?
Yep.
So someone at A&M in the radio department gives Over It to KROQ.
Yep.
And tells them the focus track is Disconnected.
Wow.
And I'm on tour and I get a call from our A&R person at our label, and they're like, you just got a song added to KROQ.
Holy shit.
And we were like, what the fuck? Like we didn't even know it was going to happen. We didn't even know the label was just doing this on their own and not really telling our manager or us.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully it happened. I mean, that's one of those things. It's like you get so friggin' lucky.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
We weren't even, as far as we were concerned, we weren't trying. They were, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
So, they got the song added at KROQ and it started reacting and doing well, but we'd finished Big Choice and it hadn't come out yet.
Okay.
So it's waiting to come out.
Holy shit.
And so the label has now it's caused a crisis. So the label's like, you have to put Disconnected on Big Choice. And then here we go again with our 90s pseudo punk kill rock stars ethic.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't tell us what to do. We're a punk band. We make our own decisions, blah, blah. That would be super lame. What would our audience think? And, at the time we're worried about whatever tiny following we'd started to garner versus what following we could garner with a radio single.
Totally.
But that's where we were. And it caused a lot of rift in the band as well. So after much debate and arguing, we came up with this idea of well, why don't we put Disconnected on Big Choice, but we'll just call it a bonus track. And if we're going to have one bonus track, let's have two. That way it would be like, all right, here's the CD with these two bonus tracks.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know who came up with the idea of the skit, but we're like, we're going to ask the label if we can do a skit where we can go through exactly what did happen, so we can make fun of ourselves with this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so we told the label that's what we wanted to do, and they're like, fine, we don't care what you want to do. We want this on your new album because you have radio and we don't want to stop that, which is obvious. So we get off tour, we go back in the studio, we record Bikeage. We recorded a new version of Disconnected.
Okay.
And that was the version that went on the back of Big Choice. And then that's actually the head of the label at the time, the guy with the English accent. That's Phil Carson.
On the record. Okay.
And our A&R guy, Kevin. We had them come into the studio while we were recording. We said, cool, we're going to do this skit. We didn't even work it out. We just went in with an open mic.
Yeah.
And they went, okay, guys, I think we're done. Oh, wait, we want you to add Disconnected to the end of the record. And then we just said basically what we had been feeling in the van on tour. And that's the little skit.
Holy shit.
Somehow that made us feel like things were right with the universe if we
you put it out
if
there,
we did it that
you
way.
said your piece on
I
there.
guess.
That's a game changer for you, right? Disconnected.
It really was, because although it didn't it never really caught on in the rest of the country. The way that we hoped it would. It really caught on here. In California, like in Southern California. But we did radio shows all over the country in support of it. And it was added for a time, in Texas and Cleveland and Northern California, different parts of the country, Seattle. We did radio shows everywhere in support of it. And
was that exciting time? So now you're in a major label. Now it's the second time you release this song. By the way, inspired by Hope lyrics by Descendants.
Thank you. Thank you for picking up on that.
Talk about that.
I think you're the first one that's ever pointed it out.
You don't know, dude. When I hear that, dude, it's just.
Well, like I said,
they were psyched.
Like I said at the beginning of this,
Descendants.
My 3 bands
Trifecta.
that kind of got me into wanting to write this stuff.
Descendants and Bad Religion, yeah.
I mean, I had a song, I titled the song Everything is Everything on the Don't Turn Away record because of a lyric from Fugazi,
So nobody ever asked you about that being Descendants homage?
No, but I mean, I clearly know that it is, and that's why I put it in there.
You made a lyric like a freaking chorus. No, it's amazing, man. It's like, it's so incredible. Like, I think I told somebody that recently. Like, what? I said, listen to the song. Like, it's with the Descendants. Everybody say anything? Like, they were flattered or anything, or know about it, or they had to hear it.
I don't.
It was huge.
I think it kind of went under their radar.
Come on, man.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Wow, man.
It's funny. We recorded our record Protection a couple of years ago with Bill up in Colorado.
Bill Stevenson, the best.
And I'd met Bill a few years earlier on the Warped Tour when Descendants were out touring for Everything Sucks. Like when they first came back.
Dude.
Yeah, so rad. And everyone was like, oh, this Bill dude's a trip. He's either going to love you or hate you, approach with caution. I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to go talk to Bill. Like these guys are my idols.
Black Flag.
So I went up to Bill and he was super nice to me. So I was like, cool. I guess I get to be the in the column of, nice guy with Bill.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, a lot of his erratic behavior was because of his tumor and everything later on, which is super nuts.
Yeah.
So fast forward past all of that, we wanted to make a record with Bill when we got back on Fat Records for Protection. And so we go to Colorado and Bill's like, yeah, I kind of remember you guys. But
I remember a bunch of times he's like, oh, you remember? Yeah.
But that's Bill.
Yeah.
Of course we showed up, we jumped in his car with him. He's like, hey, I'm going to take you guys to the store, buy whatever you want. Let's stock up for the studio. He was super accommodating, super friendly. And within like the first 12 hours of us being there, we were like full bros.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic experience recording with him.
Yeah. I want to go there someday. I heard it's amazing. Yeah.
But there was a lot of stuff that he didn't really remember. I was going to be like, hey, we were the band that like played Bikeage every fucking night while you guys were broken up. And I just always went, oh, the Descendants are like the best band on the planet. It's too bad they're broken up now. You should totally check out their old records.
Yeah. I would say Descendants is the original pop punk.
Oh, absolutely.
Original, man. Talk about love songs and farting and coffee. Like, I never drank coffee. My mom drank Sanka. I'm like, how come these young punk rockers are talking about coffee so much? That's the first time I heard like somebody talk about that kind of subject,
Yeah, totally.
It was so different and just melodic, but still like fast and aggressive and some, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. When I I was hooked when I heard the melodic, Descendants songs.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is great too.
Yeah.
But I really like the Bill Stevenson written songs,
Wendy and Clean Sheets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sour Grapes.
That's
Dude,
the classics.
Me?
It's the best.
All right, so Disconnected blows up. Game changer. You make a video for it. It's getting played too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the video was getting played on MTV on what were those shows they used to have?
MTV
120 minutes and all that kind
Matt
of stuff.
Pinfield.
Yeah, which was fantastic. It was amazing, man. We would be on tour, we'd play a show, and the TV would be on in the bar, and it would flip to 120 minutes after the show was over, and our video would come on, and we'd be like, wow, fuck, this is like the coolest
Did you
shit
feel
ever.
like this is it? Now we're in a major label. Not the major label, fuck it. But now this song's on the radio, like, holy shit. This song that was on the last record, this song Disconnected, it never stood out to you guys? Like, this is a banger, this is like a hit or nothing? It was just a song on there to you?
Yeah,
it's so catchy, dude. It's such a great song.
I mean, as far as we thought, it was just another. It was one of our songs we liked on the record.
Yeah.
Like we thought it was one of the standout tracks.
Was there a song on Big Choice? Label was like, no, this is the song, and then that that came on KROQ first, like, oh shit, maybe it's gonna be this song. Was there a song you guys had chosen?
I feel like I do that with almost every record. I'll make a record and I'll go, oh, this should be the focus track, and it almost never ends up being that. You know, it's so weird.
Yeah, it just happened. That was this organic.
With Big Choice, I think. I always thought A-OK was like the best song on that record, but I always felt like at the time, and again, you've got to frame it in 1995 or whatever, 94, 95. Music on the radio wasn't that fast. I mean, A-OK is a good pop song, but it's a fast song.
Yeah.
So it never occurred to me that something like that could ever get played on the radio. And then fast forward a couple years later, Blink-182 is shattering that.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Maybe had we had the opportunity to get something like that out on the radio earlier, it could have done it. But until Blink had... was it Josie was the fast kind of song?
Is that Sissy growing
up was another one. That's not super fast. I think Josie's fast. Yeah, my girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like a super fast song.
Yeah. That is true.
So up until then, no one had really had that. But I remember when we were making this record with Tom, and he didn't get to hear the songs until we showed up in the studio and played them for the first time. And then, of course, they were unfolding in front of him as like bass and drums, add a guitar, vocals last. So he didn't even really know what the songs were until they were finished.
Yeah.
While he's listening to the music for It's Not Over, he's like, that's a hit. That's a hit song. You should make that your single. And I was like, dude, you're on crack.
Wow.
It's crazy. That song's way too fast. Wow. They don't play songs that fast on the radio.
Yeah.
And then once we make the record and tour and start playing, it's one of like our most popular live songs. So he wasn't wrong about the appeal of it, you know.
So when the disconnected hits, do you see a difference in playing shows after that? Like when it's on the radio and MTV, you start playing shows, you see a different audience. You see it just blows up.
For sure, yeah. I think doing it was a different audience for us in terms of what we could draw. I think the next headline tour we did was like. Right before Big Choice came out, we were on tour with the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, supporting
one of the greatest bands, dude.
And they had just put out Question the Answers, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right around that time period.
Yeah.
And it was it was such a good tour. It was
so fun to tour with.
The Boss Tones, us, and Wax.
Wax, I remember that band, yeah.
Yeah, with Joe Sib.
Yeah.
And so everyone was so cool. I mean, everybody got along so great. It was just fun. The whole tour was fun. And what was the point I was getting to with that?
I was about the song. Was that the main song in the set that people waited for? Was it
Disconnected.
Like that?
Yeah, we started noticing people would react. Well, I was going to say that was the last tour I think we did as a support band. And then we made a conscious decision after that to just, we knew we weren't going to play to as many people, but we're like, let's just start headlining, because the sooner we start, the more we're going to be able to cement our career as a standalone band. And and I think having a song like Disconnected that was as widespread as it was helped us to establish ourselves as a headliner. And it became one of those songs people recognize. But
and the label's happy.
The label was happy, and it was all good. And then we made another record.
Yeah. I'll fast forward this because then you might get bored talking about yourself. But people, trust me, the listeners love this shit. They love the breakdown. But 1996, Face to Face, self-titled. Some of the songs I liked on these records was Walk the Walk, Ordinary, and I Won't Lie Down. Bangers.
Thank you. And what's interesting about this one, I want to say is,
and Shiflett had joined.
So Scott joins after Big Choice.
All my notes, yeah.
I think that after the touring and the grind and the living in the van and all the personalities and all the shit,
glamorous life, dude.
It just kind of really lets you know where things are at and
who's down
who
for the
works and who doesn't, like what personalities clash, which don't, all that kind of stuff. And so it just wasn't vibing with Matt, unfortunately, at that time. So Matt left, and it was me and Chad and Rob, and we found Scott Shiflett, who's been in the band ever since.
Yeah,
that was around 95.
Yep.
The cool thing about this from a label standpoint is we got to leave Victory and go directly to A&M. So that was our first major label release.
Yeah, okay.
So no more Training Wheels mid-level label.
Yeah.
And that came with its share of bullshit too.
I'm sure.
Unfortunately, we had a bigger push behind us, and off the success of a Disconnected.
You felt pressure too to make that next one?
Yeah, a little bit. Matt
had to write a song. You think like, I know you guys don't think that we have to write a song that's on the radio, or have to write a song that's just as.
You know what? I wasn't really focused on that.
Yeah, I can't see
to be
like
honest.
that either. Yeah.
You know, I had been for other records, but I wasn't really feeling that on Self-Titled. I kind of didn't care because, for whatever reason, once Matt left, I lost my writing partner because Matt and I wrote everything on the first two. Right, we were collaborators on all those songs. So and Scott, who would become my collaborator, he didn't feel like he didn't want to be presumptuous enough to jump into that role, just having joined the band.
Yeah, toes or anything. Yeah.
So I wrote a lot of those songs on my own, and then I'd bring them to rehearsal, and then the guys would kind of be like, sprinkle a little fairy dust here and there. Oh, what about this cool bass part? What about this cool drum fill? And then we made them our own from there. But Scott, despite the fact of him kind of wanting to not, overstep, he did contribute quite a bit to that record and helped flesh it out and make some real, like he's a co-writer on I Won't Lie Down, and all that. So here's kind of the heartbreaker of that record. With all the momentum we had from Big Choice going into that album, we rehearsed it, we recorded demos, we actually pre-produced the album and made demos and made it super pro.
Took it seriously.
We went back with our buddy Jim, who all those years ago had offered to record us for free at Raji's.
That's pretty amazing.
Because he came in and heard what we were doing on the Big Choice record and just went, what the hell? Why are you guys letting this record happen as kind of this throwaway thing? And so he really stepped up as a producer. Yeah. And he did pre-production with us, and he helped us and contributed on arrangements and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
And we went to... I'm not going to be able to think of the name of the studio.
Produced.
It's just right up the street here.
Oh, really?
On Melrose.
Swing House?
Not Swing House. The OG one that's been there forever, like Rod Stewart recorded there and all that stuff. Is it still there?
Is it still there?
I don't know if it's still there.
I think it's there, man. I know exactly what sound on the name, but you went there. Okay, you went there.
Yeah.
Kids, you can Google that shit. That's where we did the Self-Titled there.
We did it there with Jim. We rented gear for the first time. We brought different guitars in for different sounds. We brought different amps in. We had a couple different drum sets. Like we brought Ross, the drum doctor, in to tune the drums and get the we tried to make a professional album at this point, but we were working with our friends. We didn't bring an outside guy in to tell us what. So that felt really, really good. Yeah. When it was mixed, now we're working with a new manager too. We're working with Rich Egan.
Oh yeah, Rich Egan, Vacant Records.
Who would end up being our manager for a very long time after that.
That's right.
And so he had a lot to do with kind of helping straighten us out because Rich is a punk rock guy. He's a punk rock fan far earlier than I ever was even. Yeah. And he's like, I've been following your band. I thought Don't Turn Away was a great record. I thought Big Choice was okay, but Don't Turn Away is better. Wow. And let me work with you on this new record. So a lot of this new professionalism came as a result of having Rich involved and him interfacing with A&M and calling them on their shit and trying to keep them in line
you're back.
As well.
That's awesome. Yeah, you need somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And this is someone from the punk rock world. So
he understood
we're now being represented by someone who gets the ethic and the ideal. Yeah. So we make that record and I Won't Lie Down was kind of the standout track for 96. And I don't even know, there's no official story behind it, but we had a release date set. We had a whole plan of how to do it, like a full marketing plan behind a super pro, big team of people, all that good shit. And the song I Won't Lie Down leaks to KROQ. I didn't take it there, but it leaked to KROQ and KROQ liked it and they started playing it.
Wow, man.
Right away, which was huge, right?
So huge.
But this was records used to work on a different timeline for promotion back then. Yeah. So you'd put out the single and then release the record, 2 months later, something like that. Now it happens way faster.
Totally way faster.
But I think our record wasn't scheduled to come out for like 4 months.
Dang.
That's when it was in the system for A&M.
Yeah.
So KROQ starts playing the record, and they're like, when are you going to release the record? And Rich gets in touch with the people at KROQ, and he's like, well, we're scheduled to release it on XYZ date, whatever it was. And they go, you got to move up the release date or we're going to have to stop playing it because we don't work records for that long of a period of time. It's just never done.
Yeah.
And so I remember the whole band and Rich took a meeting with the head of radio at A&M on the A&M lot to sort this problem out.
Yeah, it's a great problem.
Our A&R guy, the radio department, like as we're in this big room, and here we are, dumb punk rock kids, don't know our head from our ass. And Rich basically ran the meeting. But the long and short of it is the record guy decided, the radio guy decided that I feel like he decided that his authority was being challenged and he didn't want his machismo to be challenged by a bunch of dumb 20-year-old kids, punk rock thing. And he said, we ain't moving it up. They'll play it. Don't listen to the shit they're telling you. They like it. They'll play it. We're leaving it right where it is. I don't want to mess with the plan. And we're like, dude, you have to please move the release date up. We'll go on tour early. We'll do everything we need to do.
Yeah.
Please move it up. And A&M just went, nope, not going to do it.
Dang.
And what happened? KROQ quit playing it.
Wow.
Not only that, they weren't even willing to consider any singles off of that record after that.
Holy shit.
So it was a full music biz power play.
That sucks.
You got the people at the radio station and the people at the label asserting their dominance.
Yeah, and you get fucked. And
who gets fucked in the middle? The band.
That's crazy. That's crazy that KROQ is so supportive of local bands. Unlike the East Coast, it's not like that where they play like bands from, what I mean? It's really cool they did that for you twice.
Yeah. Well, so the flip side of that that's still good is they're still playing the shit out of Disconnected.
They're still out, right? To this day, right?
Yeah, so it helped.
I love that.
I mean, it continued to be a good thing for us. They just wouldn't play our new material, but they still kept playing Disconnected, So
wow.
If there was any moment we were sort of poised to, really break out, I think it was that self-titled time and that I Won't Lie Down single. That was kind of the moment that could have taken us from where we were to a completely other different level. But that's kind of our missed opportunity. But
did the fans like that record though?
Oh, I think our self-titled record is our best-selling album of all time, actually. And despite whatever music biz radio single nonsense, I'm just telling you the little heartbreaker story.
No, I love it.
All that shit aside, what really matters about what all this stuff we're talking about and why I'm still here and you're still here is because we understand that number one, even being able to create a connection between music that you create and a fan base of any size is really, really special.
Totally special, man.
And it's something that if you do truly recognize how special it is and you want to cherish it, you want to nurture it, and you can't, and that means you don't ignore it. You pay attention to what your audience likes, what they want, and you try to do things that are considerate of that. Do special things, make special releases, set up things to meet with people, get online and do chats. You want to give lots of access, and you want to keep that going because
that's why you guys still here.
As much as it seems like it's going to be a one-way thing, like, oh, well, I get to get my ego massaged because I'm a cool dude in a band. It's not about that.
Yeah.
The reason any of us ever want to be in a band is we wrote some song in our bedroom that we felt really emotional. It made some kind of a connection with us that we loved. We can't even really describe it, right?
You can't describe it.
You put some chords together and a melody, and it made you feel a certain way that is indescribable.
Yeah. I agree.
And then you record that, and if other people get that same feeling that you got, you've now made this connection that's on a level that's completely, different from verbal communication or physical any of that.
Yeah.
And that's something that only can be done through creativity.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And the arts. I mean, I hate to call punk rock art, but because it's a creative medium, it is, for lack of a better term. So it's true. Being able to recognize that connection, if you truly value it and it's something you want to keep going, then you do. And so guys like us are aware of it, and we do keep it going because we love being able to have that shared experience of creating something emotional that you can share with complete strangers, or
100%.
even people that you maybe kind of know a little bit.
No, 100%. And that's why you guys have a longevity career. That's why your music connected. Fuck the labels, the managers, all that.
Yeah, none of that.
You made the music, and that's what's the most important thing. You know what I mean?
And I just want to recognize that more than the story, because all of this business shit, it is what it is.
It is.
None of that even applies now. The music business is so completely different.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to talk about it historically, because it was the way that things
totally
were.
Was.
And
making it through that and still having a career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of bands get thrown to the side, or they fail on a label and they give up or they quit. Did you ever feel like quitting or stop doing it?
We did.
They have a hiatus. Yeah.
We did have that hiatus.
Yeah.
And we did call it a farewell. As far as we were concerned, we broke up at that point. But I think we just quickly realized after a couple of years of us doing things individually, creatively, that nothing we ever did on our own added up to the same vibe as when we made music together.
Yeah.
And I guess really that's maybe more of just a Scott and I thing. Like when Scott and I play music together, there's something special about it. Danny, who took over for Pete when we reformed, he's been in the band for well over a year, 10 years now, 12 or 13. Awesome. And Dennis slowly became this replacement for Chad over the years. Initially, when we reformed, Chad was there, but Dennis has now kind of assumed that role. And this lineup we have of these four guys, it's like we're family, like it's the best it's ever been. Not to say that it hasn't been good through the years too,
of course,
but there's something
brotherhood, man.
There's something special about playing the music together. And when I mentioned the shared experience between the band and the audience, that's what it's all about. But the shared experience between the band members is like off the charts.
Totally, man.
In a way that it's never been before.
Yeah.
So we want to keep doing this as long as we can.
Yeah.
We love doing it.
You know? Standard and practices of cover songs. It's cool because you mentioned Duran Duran and Psychedelic Furs and NXS, those bands that you like earlier in your life, but you end up covering them later on, which I think it's really cool. It makes sense now when I saw you cover those bands that your new wave band from back when you were younger.
Yeah.
You brought those back forward. I think it was so cool.
It was fun to have the opportunity to do that.
To have face-to-face do those songs,
Yeah. And well, so speaking of that, we just released a volume 2.
I know it's on here, volume 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I know all my shit. Yeah. This volume 2, he did Joan Jett, Devo, Naked Raygun.
Yeah.
One of my wife's favorite bands from Chicago.
So that was a more recent cover that we did. No, I know,
but still. It's
I've always loved that song, The Grind, and I didn't realize Jettison was kind of like this
album, dude.
Dark horse in their catalog because it came later.
Yeah, it did.
And it's funny, there's elements of it that sound a little bit metal, especially the production. But that was the first Naked Raygun record I ever heard, so that was my entry point into the band.
Is Treason on there? No, that's not on there.
No, I don't think it's on.
You like Peg Boy too?
Love Peg Boy.
Dude.
Yeah, Peg Boy was
Chicago
great. 3-chord Monty.
Incredible, man. But to see Naked Raygun on there, I was like, oh shit, that's my wife's favorite band. Like,
we never got to play with Raygun, but we did play with Peg Boy.
Great.
We had Peg Boy out on a short East Coast tour.
Underrated, man. That record too, man. Yeah. Shasham, what's it called? I forget the name of that record. Just incredible band. I'll fast forward through all this shit just for the kids listener. Ignorance is Bliss, 1999. You can stop whenever you want.
That was our Departure album.
Okay, Departure. That was your Departure?
That record was a departure for us, yeah, because we veered away from our kind of SoCal skate punk pop sound, and we tried with a conscious effort to do something completely different, and it didn't come from an A&R guy, a manager, a label, a producer, anybody. That was us, purposefully trying to do something different. And what ended up happening as a result of that is people didn't get it at first. But now that it's a part of our catalog, there's a lot of people that love the record and it's become one of their favorites.
Strange how that happens, but at first it doesn't. Like 10 years later, people, oh my God, I love that record so much. I appreciated it so much back then.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you see like five people hating on a message board. I think everybody hates it. I don't know.
Well, what's cool about it is it showed a different side of us creatively as songwriters. And although we've distanced ourselves from it, I feel like that other side kind of creeps in here and there now in the punk rock songs that we write, and you can hear it on the next album, Reactionary, yeah. It's kind of got a little bit of that melancholy mixed in with the pop.
Is this a record you guys don't play any songs from?
Ignorance?
Yeah.
No, because it's so different.
Okay.
It's just so different from the punk rock set.
I think a lot of bands do that. They have one record that's totally different. You know what I mean? There's one Bad Religion record that Brett would not name. He mumbled it.
Into the Unknown?
Yeah, that he wouldn't mention on the podcast. He did mention like this. Yeah. But some people love that record. You know what I mean? But they do one obscure one. You know what I mean? A lot of bands do that.
I think if we ever do Ignorance, we have to do it as its own album. So it would be like an album tour where we just play that record front to back, because it's not just the songs, the whole like emotional content of that record. Yeah. It doesn't mix with everything else in our catalog. It's just got a totally different vibe.
I like when bands do that. They don't do the same record over and over again. Man, it's so good to have a band do something different and have out, because people think just because you're in a punk band, all you listen to is punk rock demos or hardcore in the van, but you listen to all types of music, and so sometimes it's good to have that come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I
respect bands that do that.
It's definitely one of the best records we've ever made.
You love it, yeah?
Oh, we worked our asses off on that thing, and I think it's really strong. And I think it'll be one of the crowning achievements of our career. Ever. It's not like a punk rock album.
Yeah.
It's not like what you would expect from a punk rock band.
So he did the covers record in between, and then Reactionary comes back, and that kind of puts you back on your sound.
That was that was like a comeback from our departure. It was a little at the time. It was like
1 year,
mea
right?
culpa a little bit. Oh yeah, we cranked that next record out fast because the backlash was so bad on Ignorance. We couldn't even tour. We had to stop a tour. We stopped mid-tour.
You mean online backlash?
No.
Like people weren't coming to the show?
People were paying money to buy a ticket to the show so they could throw shit at us and spit on us. No way, dude. I'm not kidding.
Holy
It was
shit.
worth it. It was worth it to people to
Maybe I should skip that out of my notes.
Plunk down $15 or $20 just to show up and go,
are you fucking serious?
This sucks. This isn't punk.
Were you guys super bummed?
Super bummed. So we made Reactionary really quick so we could like go, okay.
But not embarrassed about what you did. You made the record because you loved it.
No, we figured it would take a while to catch on.
That's probably one of the most punk records then, to do something totally different. That's fucking punk to me.
It is.
You know what I mean?
If the definition of punk is acting in the manner that you want to act without any regard of what people will think of you.
Totally.
Like having the confidence to do something that you think is good and right.
That you love.
You're not worried about the social repercussions of other people's opinions, then yeah, it's punk rock.
So this was not just, so they came in real life to heckle. That's fucking crazy, man. So did you guys
now you're going to have to listen to it if you've never heard it.
100%. I'm definitely. So did you guys stop the tour because that was happening?
We did. We made up
Holy shit.
We made up some lie about, I think we said Chad broke his foot, and we just like left. We quit like with 10 more shows to go.
Damn, man.
Yeah, it was a bummer.
All you kids listening, if you're one of those kids heckling them, I bet you love that record now. and you're growing up age.
Check this. If people who were listening might have been at the Denver show we did on that tour, Chad was getting spat on so many times from the stage that he took his guitar off mid-song and jumped feet first in the crowd and started fist fighting the audience, basically.
Holy shit.
And we had to stop the set and get him out of the crowd, and it was a big thing.
And that was not like him to do something like that.
That was our last show of the tour.
Wow, dude. If you were spitting on face-to-face back then, that's lame, dude. That is so lame. We got spit on once, man. Italy at a festival, and it did not end well for the
Oh no,
audience,
it's bad.
It's so disrespectful. Why do you even come to the show to do that? That's crazy, man.
I don't get it,
dude. I bet they came back and bought Reactionary though. I bet they were at your next show singing along for sure, dude.
The funny thing is, like, yeah, we put Reactionary out and we toured on it, and everyone forgot about
Isn't that crazy?
Forgot about being mad about the last record.
Just a year ago, they forget like that. Wow, man.
And then a couple of years after that, people started coming up going, why don't you ever play songs from Ignorance, dude? That record's awesome.
Like, dude, really? Did you hear about that tour? And then How to Ruin Everything 2 years later?
Yes. That was the first record we ever put out on Vagrant proper.
Okay.
That was on Vagrant Records label.
You guys have a lot of records, man. It's awesome, man. Wow, I feel like such a loser. My band's been together 25 years. We have 6 albums, dude. It's so. How many years you guys been together?
It'll be 30 next year.
Okay, it's a little different.
2021 will be 30 years for us.
You guys
and we just finished work on our 10th studio album that'll come out next year.
You guys you put so much work in, man. It's so awesome. You been have all that songs and.
You know what's funny is gearing up to write this new album about a year ago, right after we finished that tour with you guys in Lagwagon, we're like, okay, time to make a new record. Let's start writing, And I looked at it as such a daunting task. And I didn't ever used to do that with records.
Type stuff, or
I just went, because now I know how much emotional energy goes into making an album.
It's draining, man.
Yeah. And I'm not the kind of guy that like wakes up with a notepad and writes lyrics every day.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of either in creative mode or I'm not. And I have to quiet my life down to put myself into creative mode because I'm a little bit manic that way.
Yeah.
So I almost have to go, I'm going to make time to write, and now I'm going to write. And when you do that, sometimes you write a lot of garbage.
Yeah, you're almost forcing yourself.
Because it's forced.
It's forced, yeah. You have to get inspired.
But if there's any silver lining about COVID, and there aren't many, is that we were able to spend the better part of this past year kind of chipping away and tinkering with the songs and the album. And it wasn't something that had to happen in 3 months. It wasn't like,
great.
Studio's booked, it costs this much money, you got to get in and get out and get it done.
You take your time.
So we've been able to do this a little bit at a time and go through a process and then get through one portion of making the record and listen to it for a couple of months and go, I think I want to change this and that and refine this and make it better.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to have the extra time for that.
So when you did the 9 years hiatus, we did like a 7 years where...
Oh, we did. It wasn't 9 years.
Okay.
It wasn't 9.
I thought it was between 2002 and 2011.
No. Was...
How to Ruin Everything, and the next one was...
Oh, no, but see, we still continued to tour after How to Ruin Everything.
Yeah, us too. I'm saying, but not put music out, new music.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we did the same thing. We didn't release a record for 7 years. After the major label, we were so burnt. We were so fried. We were so mentally drained that we toured, but we didn't do any new music. We just like, I don't know, kind of burnt on it,
Yeah.
And then it took 7, but yours is like 9.
So, well, we didn't make a record for that long because I think we toured up until about 2004.
Yeah.
And then we did a farewell tour, and that was going to be that.
What was that decision to say you were done?
We just felt like ignorance was the direction we wanted to take the band into, and when people didn't respond to that, and we went back to punk rock, it felt like we were derailing our creative vision.
I respect that, man. Wow. Man.
So that
you could have just changed the name, maybe.
It felt a bit like a facade to keep going on in that. I mean, we made
playing to please them and not yourselves, kind of
a little bit. So we broke up out of frustration. And then,
but you probably didn't want to in your heart, obviously.
Not really. No. We
that sucks.
But we didn't want to call it a hiatus. Like for whatever reason at the time, we felt like it needed to just be a clean break. Just break it up, and then we'd be free to go into other projects.
Got you.
But what we realized is that we just needed a little break.
Yeah, you burnt, dude. Yeah.
We just needed a break.
Because you want to still love each other and love what you do and love being on stage with these people, but sometimes you need a break. The same thing with us.
And it made us appreciate everything so much more. And this time, when the band got back together, we were truly motivated by the love of playing music and being in the band.
Yeah.
It wasn't about like, I've got to write the perfect song that gets me this many record sales, that gets our band drawing this many people a night. There was none of that shit. We just went, you know what? It's already gone. So if we put it back together, we'll have some fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best I've ever felt being in the band because I had the freedom to go, I can walk away from this whenever I want.
Yeah,
whatever.
Because you don't care. It wasn't like life or death thing where we have to make this record or go on tour. No business, probably just stripped down to just making songs.
Whether or not that was real previous to any of that, those were things I put on myself.
Extra pressure.
I mean? So I was able to reconcile that with myself and get rid of it and go, if you're not doing this for the love of doing it, then you don't need to be doing it at all.
I love that. Respect
that's the way
man.
It's been ever since we started playing again in 2008.
Yeah.
So we've had 12 good years of that good positive vibe.
I want that to be the feeling when we finally start playing shows after this lockdown. Like, I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted playing music, but I want that excitement to be there once we get on the stage after this fucking COVID, man. I want that same kind of feeling, excitement, it's so crazy not to like know the future of what's happening right now.
It's insane, isn't it?
Like, would you do a car one, a drive up one? Would you play a bunch of cars beeping the horn at you, clapping? That's how they clap. They beep the horns.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I can't do it, man.
I mean, I don't have any disrespect or shade for any band that does want to do it that way. If that works for them, that's great. And I get that people are, they love the live music experience so much they're willing to experience it in any modified way they need to. I just think it would diminish the experience of what our live show is to a point that it would be better just to wait.
Yeah. I saw the Together at Home thing you guys did. That was cool.
Yeah, and
that's cool. That's fun.
That still lets people know that we're doing things. We put this covers record out, and we finished a studio album, which we're going to sit on until we think we can do a tour. So at least until next year sometime. Yeah,
that just came out too. The Standards and Practices, that came out this year.
Yes.
Part 2, yeah.
Yeah, I did a vinyl for it, which collects the first record we did and the new one. So it's a double disc edition of everything.
Who put that out?
I did it on my label Antagonist.
Sick.
It was a limited edition version of the vinyl, which is gone now. I might do some repress.
That's cool though. You had labels too. Lady Luck too. Is that a label you had?
It was an imprint. Yeah. It never really was a functioning label.
And Folsom too?
Yeah. They were mostly failed ideas.
Yeah, but still, you tried, man.
So this Antagonist brand that I've been doing now, I've been reissuing our catalog albums, but I've been doing them in very limited runs to make them collectible.
Smart.
And it makes it a lot more attractive for people to want to buy them because they can feel like they got something that might increase in value, or it's just something cool to have.
Different colorways and stuff.
And the new book that I just put out too is also on my Antagonist.
The complete imprint. Lyrics from 1990 to 2020. Dang, that's cool, man.
I realized this year because with COVID, it's kind of made us sort of reassess everything about what we're doing as musicians. And I realized that 2020 is like a 30th anniversary from when I first started writing lyrics for this band. And when I looked at the amount of songs that I had, it's not just face-to-face. It's face-to-face.
Your solo stuff too.
Records. It's like B-side, outtakes, comps. It's Viva Death songs I've written. It's my solo stuff. It's like everything I've done in the last 30 years.
Dang.
It's well over 150 songs. So
it's amazing, man.
It actually made for like a kind of a cool collectible sort of poetry style book.
It's really cool.
And I worked with this artist, Ray Tattooed Boy, out of San Antonio that I found on Instagram.
Sick.
And he put together a bunch of illustrations for me. He's a punk rock guy. He's a fan of our band. And it kind of made for like another cool like coffee table book, another like collectible sort of thing to have.
And that's the name of your solo record too, right?
Melancholics Anonymous. Yeah.
You have so much, man. All right, hang on, we're going back. So we don't have to talk about these. That's the people listeners. They might love these records.
Yeah.
3 Chords and Half the Truth, 2013. Protection, Hold Fast. That's acoustic record, correct?
Yeah, you left out Laugh Now, Laugh Later.
Laugh Now is nothing in this industry.
Laugh Now, Laugh Later was the first album we made after we reformed. So it's the first album with Danny.
It's a comeback record.
Danny on drums. That's our comeback record. Yeah. And
people psyched on that? They had to be psyched on that.
People really like that record. Yeah. We recorded it with Joby Ford from the Bronx. He engineered it. We did it at his studio, and then Corey Miller did all the artwork for it.
Oh, Corey Miller, sick.
Yeah, so that was a fun record to do, and a good collaborative effort. We worked with people that are buddies of ours.
Yeah, and then when it came out, was it well received? People were excited for the.
Yeah. That awesome. That one was very well received.
That's a great feeling to come back and have that. People waiting for you. You know what I mean?
And yeah, for sure. And then we did 3 Chords, which is another kind of a bit of a departure record. But there's I think there's great songs on that record as well. And then Protection was a return to Fat Records.
Oh shoot! Okay, back there. That's
yeah,
so full circle
from Don't Turn Away to Fat.
Yeah.
That was our first record back on Fat, and Bill Stevenson produced.
That's amazing.
And Jason up at the Blasting Room. Produced and mixed.
I want to go there someday in Colorado.
And so ever since that record, we've been back with Fat.
Okay.
and doing things with them. They put our acoustic album out,
Stands and Practice
and
Part
they
2.
put
We did that one.
our Live at a Dive our live record, and they'll be releasing our upcoming new studio record too.
That's
so
amazing.
You talk about full circle, and I think what's really cool is like we all started out at a certain time period, and when you go fast forward 25 years into the future, whatever, it's cool to see the people that have kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
And I looked around at some point. We've been jumping label to label to various things here and there. And before we did Protection, I was like, we'd done a show actually, because Fat Records was doing their 25-year anniversary tour.
Yeah.
Remember when they did that?
Yep.
And they were going to do one here in LA at the Palladium. And I'd called Erin not long before that and said, hey, we're making a new record. Would you consider putting it out on Fat? And she's like, yeah, let me hear it. You know, and I'm sure it's going to be good, but we'd love to have you guys back on Fat.
That's cool.
So we showed up and we played at that thing and announced that we were going to be back on Fat Records. And you know, you don't really know in the future what things will be enduring or not. And we never had a bad experience at Fat. I mean, shit, they've been paying us royalties since Don't Turn Away.
Sick.
Religiously,
That's
without
amazing.
fail. They're good, honest
point.
people. They wouldn't have lasted this long as a record label
100%.
if they weren't. And to me, I was just like, God, this is so obvious. It's just right in my face. We should go back. And I was worried that maybe, you know, Erin or Mike would be like, no way, you left us a long time ago. You guys already made your choice. You're lame. But there was none of that. There was none of that at all. It was just like, come on back into the fold. We've been waiting for you, you know.
That's nice, man.
So it's such a good feeling of like family and
I love that.
And just being around good, decent people that care about what they do. You know?
Yeah, I would hope that Brett Gurwitz would say that to us one day. Can we go back to Epitaph? I'm sure it would be like that too. It's been since the 90s since we left there, but like, that'd be kind of cool to go back to something like that. It'd be cool.
Yeah, dude.
Or Hellcat or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You produced a lot of bands too. No Motive, Monine, Viva Death, your own band.
Yeah.
Jughead's Revenge.
Yes.
That's sick. That's so cool.
I did the Just Joined record with those guys. It was a lot of fun doing that record.
Do you like producing? Do you want to do that more?
Well, this was all during a period of time.
Okay.
And I haven't done it for quite a while.
Okay.
I like working
That's cool
with.
you did that, though.
I liked working with my friends. Like
Yeah.
working with Jugheads was great because
Yeah.
I knew those guys and they were buddies of mine at the time. We were pretty close and
Yep.
and we just toured together and all that. And making the Monine record was fantastic. Those guys are great. The No Motive guys were really awesome.
Yeah, it's a great band too.
Since then, I've tried doing some other production stuff, and I at the end of the day, I love producing music.
Yeah.
I like mixing and engineering and producing. I don't like developing people's
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
I just realized it kind of wasn't for me. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I like making my own shit. I think
Writing
I'd
your own
rather
stuff.
mix than produce at this point because, people. I'm a little more old school when it comes to making recordings, and we kind of live in an era now where bands are super lazy. I think, especially punk rock bands.
Yeah.
Especially drummers in punk rock bands, because they're so used to just having someone drop it into Pro Tools and edit all the drums, and then
Yeah.
they don't have to really learn how to play the drums properly. Or singers
That's
that
interesting.
don't sing on key great, or and
Yeah.
so I see so much
Fucking
of
singers.
I just don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to have to be the guy that's fixing substandard performances all the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
that kind of turned me off on the whole production thing. I just bailed.
That's cool you did that to have on your resume. You know what I mean?
You know what? Those were all fantastic experiences. Oh, I did a
Yeah.
record for a band, Death on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's in that. Yeah.
That was
the one band I don't mention. Yeah, Death on Wednesdays.
that record came out really, really
on
well
Wednesday.
too. That was Jorma, who would eventually end up joining the Bronx on drums.
Oh shit. Okay. It's a great band too.
Yeah, those guys were awesome.
And then your solo record too came out in 2008. Was it weird like doing your own thing away from the band? Or you enjoyed that?
It was. I think the hardest part of that for me was just writing without a writing partner. I kind of like to collaborate.
It
you know?
sounds like it. Yeah.
it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to bounce ideas. I kind of like feeding off of that thing. If like you start playing a chord progression or something, or you got a melody, and then the other guy hears it, he goes, "Oh, what about these chords behind it?" And then it's like this cool reciprocal thing that kind of takes a life of its own on.
Yeah.
That to me is more fun. It's more lonely just to write.
Yeah.
To write by yourself.
But that was the stuff you just wanted to write and get off your chest. And
But
get
yeah,
out
I wanted to try doing a solo album. This
Yeah.
was when the band had gone on hiatus,
Totally.
obviously.
Stay creative too, you know.
And
during
I
that time.
I really leaned hard into those like new wave influences that we talked about
Yeah, it's
earlier.
awesome.
So it's a mixture of a lot of that kind of thing.
And then about Legion of Doom and Viva Death, is it weird going from face to face and doing side bands with like newer people?
Well, Viva Death wasn't really that different because it was still Scott and I.
Okay.
But we had
partner.
other guys came in, like Josh Freese played drums on
Sick.
it, which was cool.
Amazing drummer.
Scott's brother Chris came in and did some guitar stuff.
Okay.
So we did get to play with new guys.
That's
and,
cool.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
That part of it. Viva Death actually has had a pretty long run since then. Scott and I kind of had the idea originally. We did the first album, and then I wrote a couple songs on the next one, and then since then it's kind of morphed into more of like a Scott project.
Okay.
So I haven't really been active in it for the past couple 2-3 records, and
Okay.
it's been a really good creative outlet for Scott, and it's really, I mean, you should check out the songs.
Yeah, I want to check it out
super
for sure.
super rad.
When you became like a parent, became a dad, did that change your perspective on your music career, or did it make you even want to go harder or less touring?
Oh, as with regard to music,
Yeah, becoming a parent. Yeah,
you know, I mean,
it's hard to balance it, man. Sometimes.
as you know, it changes your perspective on life in
world.
general. Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, one day you're like, I care about what I want to do, and then the
Yeah.
next day you're like, I got to take care of this kid.
It's
I want to
crazy,
make
man.
sure that you know, he or she is going to have everything that they need.
100%, man.
It came at a time for me which was a whirlwind because my son was born in 96, right after we'd released Self-Titled, which is kind of this real uptick.
Wow. Oh,
And we
shit.
toured on that record for 2 straight years. So
But he was still young, so that's a good time to go, I think.
he was a little guy.
Yeah.
He was young
Yeah.
in that infant stage. You know, dad is important, but
They want the mom too.
I've never been super good with infant stage. I was
Me
like, you know,
neither.
like call me when he's running around and talking. And then I want to be super involved. But
100%.
infant part's a little harder
It's all about
for
the
me.
breast.
You know,
for me, I felt like same thing. Like it was all about the breastfeeding for my wife. I'm like, what about me? What is my job? Am I just gonna get the diaper? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I went on tour this band Hazen Street right that time where my son didn't even know who was who. So I thought it was a good time to go.
I agree. Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
weird thing being a dad at first because you're like, you don't feel the connect right because it's about the mom, like whatever. It's like, what am I? It's a weird thing, man.
I mean, not that you shouldn't be around, but
No, I
but
know. But it's the best time if you have to go.
exactly. So that did tend to work
Yeah.
pretty well. But we, and Scott can tell you from when he joined, he thought it was hilarious because he joined the band. Tina was, I think she was already pregnant with my son. And you know, before too long, well, actually, when we were mixing the Self-Titled record, he was in the studio in a little baby carrier.
Wow.
You know, and he was coming in while we were listening to mixes and stuff and hanging
Yeah.
out. And then the bus had a playpen in it, you know,
Wow.
right from the very beginning. And so obviously you don't, I mean, for both my wife and my son when he was a baby, you don't want to be on the road for extended periods
Nah,
of time.
man. Come
But
in and out, visit.
They'd come out for like 5 days.
Perfect.
We'd have the whole back lounge to ourselves.
So
You know,
cool.
we got to hang out. I didn't have to be completely separated from them.
Yeah.
And we tried to always keep that connection throughout the time, you know, when the kids were little. It got to a point like when they started school where I wanted their lives to be a little more normal. And not have so much travel in it.
Yeah.
But we've always tried to keep a thing. If I'm going to be on tour for more than, you know, say a month, we tried not to go more than like 2, maybe 3 weeks would be the ultimate maximum without seeing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just schedule the tour in such a way that there could be, she could come out and visit for a couple days,
Yeah.
or maybe we would just break the tour up after 2.5 weeks. And then I would go home for a month and then we go back out.
Yeah, it's smart. You have to
And-
balance it, man.
Yeah. It's just,
It's
and
super
then,
important.
you know, during our quote unquote hiatus or breakup period, that was a really great time for me to be able to connect with my kids. My daughter was still pretty little during that time. I was coaching I was the dad coaching my son's little league teams.
You get involved in all that stuff, like PT, like
we were a big baseball family when the kids were little, and I coached my son's baseball and my daughter's softball teams.
That's cool. I'd love to see you as a coach.
That was a good way to connect with both the kids, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Is it weird when you become an adult in society? Because when you're on tour, it's like fantasy. When you're home, it's reality. Like your wife doesn't care what band you're in or anything. You have these duties. So when you're meeting like other adults and other parents, it's hard to say like, what do you do?
Yeah,
so tattoos. I play this.
So most of the time, I was like the degenerate in the outfield with the tattoos, and none of the. And then you'd meet that one or two few parents in the larger group that would be like, dude, what are you a tattoo artist? I'd be like, no, I play in a band. Oh shit, that's cool. And then they would want to hang out,
Yeah.
But we were in Westlake Village, so it was it's very suburban, a little stodgy back there.
It's weird, like trying to tell people what exactly you do when you become in the adult world, or going to the school or. I feel so weird when I'm there, man.
Yeah, me too. I would feel a little. I was one of two dads that had sleeve tattoos at the entire elementary school that my kids went to.
Your dad's so cool. He does tattoos.
Well, some people would say it's cool. I think most people were like, that dude's a criminal of some kind or whatever.
So crazy, man. The stereotypes fucking with tattoos and being a musician too. You know what I mean? Like,
but anyone who got to know me or know our family realized that my wife and I were dedicated to our family and our kids, and so the tattoo thing falls away after.
And you have two kids, two grown kids.
I do now. Yeah.
And do you feel like some of the punk ethics you learned in your whole life you instill in your children?
Absolutely. I don't know if I learned punk ethics, or if at some point I kind of came to punk rock maybe a bit late. I guess I was already almost 20. I think what I realized ultimately is there was this punk rock scene that already had the ethics that were most of the identity I'd already formed.
Yeah.
So I kind of I found it and I went, oh, I belong here.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I belonged here.
Yeah.
And so it was more about me finding a movement that existed that already aligned with my ideals and personality.
That's right. You're straight edge.
Yeah, I already had that going for me.
It's so crazy. Do you have? I'm getting down to the end. I know, but listen. Like, do you have any regrets in your life?
I think everyone does. I have none that stand out. I think it's not important to. Yeah. I can look back on memories I have that I would be regretful of.
Yeah.
But I think it's important not to regret. You should try to live for the moment you're experiencing now and not give too much credence to what has already happened. Use it as something to learn from, if anything else. So off the top of my head, no. I try not to live with regrets.
No, I love that. What do you credit to, you think, face to face is longevity? Like, why do you think you're still here?
Tenacity.
People still care.
I think it's just tenacity. Okay. It's an unwillingness on our part to give up.
I love that.
Our fans, we've had many, many more fans at various points in our career, and we've had far fewer fans at various points in our career.
Yeah.
And
highs and the lows.
When I was a kid, I think I looked at it completely wrong. I thought, oh, well, if I just work this much harder, then we're going to make it, and then everything will be easy.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over time, I think I learned pretty early on in the band, is there's no such thing as a make it point. I
like that.
There's no point at which you can go, cool, now I don't have to worry about anything. I mean, it's not really about making money. It never really has been for me. I never looked at the band as like, how I'm going to get rich? I'm going to be in a band.
Yeah.
That's like one of the worst plans for anyone who wants to be rich.
It seems like you're working in between tours too. You come home and work.
Yeah. So
smart.
I think it's, you have to, if you want longevity, you just have to wake up every day and go, this is what I want to do. And you have to constantly work on it. And you have to never be willing to give up. Because like I said earlier in our talk, the only person that cares as much about the band that you're in is you. No one else will care as much, right? So if I stop caring, the band's over. So
Yeah,
the reason the band lasts is because I don't want to let it die.
Yeah. And if the kids keep coming, why, don't fix what ain't broke. I always say we'll keep playing as long as kids keep coming. And the kids are getting younger and different generations.
Sure.
Now parents who grew up and you're bringing their kids to see your band.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's a
crazy,
trip.
man. Do you have any daily rituals you do? Are you a coffee guy?
I love coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, I drink coffee every day. I don't know if I'd call it a ritual.
But you do it every day.
I drink water every day too.
Yeah, I go piss every day. Do you do yoga? Do you work? Do you what is your something to keep you,
You mentioned regrets. I wouldn't say this is a regret, but it goes more into the column of things I'd like to work on about myself. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses is I have a really difficult time finding good habits to make. I think I have plenty of bad habits like everyone else does because we just fall into them and we don't worry about them. I would like to work on creating and sticking to more good habits for myself. That's one part about myself I would like to improve.
Setting goals for yourself and
just sticking to something that's more regular, I find that throughout my life I have spurts of doing that. I'm going to take part in an exercise regimen and I'll do that for 3 months or 6 months and then I don't anymore. Or recently I've started practicing mindful meditation.
That's cool. My wife does
I
that.
did that for about 6 weeks and I loved it and I found lots of benefits from it, but I haven't been able to get back into it. And I'm afraid that it's maybe because I'm maybe a bit weak emotionally, and the events of this past year of 2020.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame anything, but it's just been such a strange year. Oftentimes I let it get to me and I let it depress me a little bit.
Let the world beat down on me for sure.
And when I feel that way, it's hard for me to feel like anything matters. And then I don't put a priority on making good habits.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting how
a struggle.
We get to do what we love. We're healthy. We have families. We own our houses, and we play music for a living, and that's amazing. But all that aside, it's so hard to avoid getting somewhat dark and depressed with the world right now beating down and the future of music, which is whatever, because I kind of push that to the side right now.
Yeah.
Just like what's happening in the world, it's just hard not to. It's a mental beatdown, whether you want it to be or not. It's crazy, man. It's hard, man.
I mean, it's hard enough to stay positive without everything we've experienced over this past year.
Exactly.
One thing I really respect about you and what you put forth in your social media and everything is you're just so positive.
Thank you,
and
man.
that's something I would like to aspire to be more like.
Thank you, man.
More like you, and
I live in a PM. I live in a
try
bubble.
to put more positivity forward. I've spent so much of my life being negative. And
I don't see you as that, though. It's crazy. Just hearing your whole story.
Well,
you seem like just a focused person that knew what you wanted from a very young age.
If you've known me for a long period of time, I didn't used to be this way.
Okay.
I think I've mellowed a little bit with age. If you knew me in my 20s, you might not be saying the same thing. So
it's like a rebellious kind of punk,
but it's
fuck everything, or
just a really intense person that's really focused on the things that I wanted, that I thought were important. And then you go through life and realize, well, maybe your priorities were a little bit screwed up, and maybe it's not so good to be as intensely focused on things and reevaluate the things that you think are important. And sometimes those are things you don't have to be super intense about, because if you're really intense about getting what you want, when you don't get them, the lows are really low.
You've had such a roller coaster of a career with, the different labels and songs and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my questions, my main last question is usually, do you consider yourself an optimist or pessimist? So you've been both.
I've been both. I now at my age and going forward in life, I consider myself optimistic most of the time. And when I'm not, I try to be mindful of that and recognize my pessimism and turn it into optimism. Ultimately, I do believe, with all the garbage in the world, I do believe that most people in the world have an innate nature to want to do good.
Yeah, there's good people. I think that too.
I think when people are threatened, they're willing to do anything that they have to do to not feel threatened, and that causes people to make decisions where they might act in a bad way or an immoral way. But I think ultimately most people are driven by a desire to do good. That's why religion is so pervasive in the world. Yeah. But even people who aren't religious, ultimately we want to do good by others.
Yeah.
And people that don't are mostly in the minority. I don't have a dark view of the world. I don't think that most people are bad.
Me either. Sometimes I think that's a fault of mine, that I see the good in everyone at sometimes where I should. My wife's like, you're too nice sometimes. That guy's a piece of shit. But sometimes it's like, I want to see the good in everybody. And my friend, you know what I mean? Like all my friends aren't perfect. But it's hard.
It's important to be savvy. You got to be street smart.
Yeah.
You want to recognize when someone is up to no good.
No, I know for sure.
But I think an innate nature in most humans is we do ultimately want to do good, Yeah,
we want to see the good. We want good things to come. Like, is there something positive that came out of this whole lockdown for you? Like something that you learned about yourself or learned how to do, or maybe you're a better cook, or I don't know, something you tried that you haven't tried on this lockdown?
Not anything as specific as that, but I think if I had to look back from right now to when we first started going through this, I think something that's positive that maybe we can all take away from this is that we learned how to live through these conditions, and we're making it.
We're making it through.
Somehow we are managing. We've adjusted things about our lives and our careers.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully given us a little bit more time to focus on the things that are important, like our family and our friends. And it's given us a little bit more time to spend with people that are important that we might not have been able to under the normal hustle and bustle of life.
It's a good test on your marriage as well. Like, because my wife tells me that the reason we're married for 25 years is because I went on tour and I came and left.
God, you and me both.
And
anyone who's been married as long as us and still travels.
But we got solid, like, we've been married a long time, so we have, like, our best friends. They get it.
Yeah.
But my wife's always like, go on tour. She said that helped.
Oh, it's been challenging. It's been challenging this year.
So now you're on top of that person. This is the longest I've been in L.A. for a long time, and you start thinking about things. Do I really want to live here? Do I like this? You know what I mean? You're stuck in one spot.
Right. So
that's a crazy reality.
Oh, trust me, my wife was giddy when I was getting ready to leave today. She's like, I'm going to miss you. Are you going to miss me?
How long you guys been together for?
Yeah.
How long you been together for?
Oh boy, don't quiz me on this.
A long time.
We started dating and we got married in 1988.
Holy shit, so I graduated from high school. Wow, bro, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
To have that and have a music career and a marriage and make children, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it's been good.
That says a lot about you, her, everything, man.
It's awesome. We still are very happy together. We laugh all the time.
She has your back,
dude.
Have
a great relationship.
She must have like Mara has my back, like supports.
Absolutely.
Because what we do is we're like big kids. Like we get to do what we love, go on tour, talk like sailors, hang out with our best friends, play music. And then while the wives are holding it down back here.
Yep.
And like just be a bunch of not like big kids. And like what we do is you don't really have to grow up,
It's true.
And then when you get home, your wife's like, okay, dishes. My wife used to hand me my son. Here you go. You've been gone for 2 weeks. Here's your son. Like it's such a reality when you get home from tour.
Yeah. There's a freedom.
They check you.
There's a freedom about going on tour. Like when I'm at home.
Yeah, no responsibility.
I use my debit card and I'm always really concerned about money and, and I'm worried about all the things that come with, adulting. And I say that as a 50-year-old man. But when I go on tour, I get a little bit of PD money or a little bit of merch cash or whatever. I only ever spend cash. It's in my pocket. I never think about money. All I'm worried about is like, when's the next sound check? When's the set?
Isn't that crazy?
Are we going to get to the next city on time? Like
no responsibility.
Stuff that's super easy. Yeah.
So lucky to do that shit, man. And then come home to a wife and who has our back and loves us. And we're very lucky, man. There's not many people who can do that and have a long music career and have a wife who like hold you down like that, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Super important, man.
I feel very lucky.
Very lucky. I saw you guys are doing this Triple Crown thing live stream November 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Yes.
That's super cool. It's a 3-day thing. You asked us to do it, and I apologize. Live on this podcast, I couldn't get my shit together because my brother's in who know where. Rusty's in South Carolina. My drum lives in New Jersey. Adam's here, but it's got Jim from Pennywise, Flogging Molly, Nate, Jason from Authority Zero, my brother Sharp Shock. It's cool, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's a fundraiser, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get some money together to help South Bay Customs.
Okay. What is that?
It's a really great music venue. They're in El Segundo. It's Michael Schreiber owns it. He is a mechanic that does custom motorcycles and cars and trucks and stuff. And but he decided, in addition to that, he wanted to put a stage right in the middle of the garage.
Wow.
And it's got a great PA, good lighting. It's like a super cool pro setup. He has shows there 3-5 nights a week before COVID.
Yeah.
And we played there a few times. We actually filmed our Double Crossed video there off the Protection record. So we're going to go there, and we're going to play 3 sets there and raise a little bit of money for his place to keep him afloat during the pandemic.
That's super nice.
And in addition, trying to bring, he's a member of the National Independent Venue Association, NIVA, and they've been doing a big push called Save Our Stages.
Is that where Stormy Shepard's been pushing that too? The booking agent, Leave Home
Yeah,
Booking?
has she?
Okay.
They're trying to go to Congress and actually get Congress to give money to independent music venues to keep entertainment, going, depending on how long this whole lockdown thing's going to be. Because
people don't think about the venues.
Live Nation they're the gigantic octopus that has all the music venues, but there's tons of other independent venues that are struggling to survive. And those are some of the best places in the country to play music and to see live music.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for, people like us that are in this industry, we think about it because it's our livelihood, but a lot of people might not realize that that's also a segment of the economy here in the United States that does need a little bit of help. So
yeah, that's cool you guys are doing that. And then, so are you, one thing I learned in lockdown is like not to stress about things I can't control. I see my shows being announced next summer. I'm like, oh, awesome, I'm on this festival with this band. But the promoters or the booking agents have zero control over that. It's the governors, it's the states, it's the country. Have you learned to like come to terms with like when this might happen? Are you stressed about it, or are you kind of like whatever? You love being home.
Oh, I'm stressed about it. Yeah. I have been stressed about it. I try not to be.
It's hard not to be, dude.
But you're right. We have to remember that we don't have any control.
Zero control over it.
Whatsoever. I mean, we're supposed to be on the Punk and Drublic tour in Europe. That was supposed to happen last summer. It's got moved. It's got moved to May of 2021. No one's made any formal announcements, and I don't know that they will. As far as I know, it's on. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if the rug got pulled out from under us at some point. Even if the aid, like you said, if everything went right from the promoter standpoint and the venues, what if the immigration office in the country you wanted to fly into in Europe said, well, cool, you have to quarantine for 14 days now that you've come here. That would just blow a budget for a band. And you wouldn't be able to do it because
that's scary.
Now you got to pay to have your whole band sit around for 2 weeks. So, there's a lot of things at play. But
and who wants to be the first band to do that? Who wants to be the first band responsible to have a whole bunch of cases break out because you were the first band to play a show? I don't want that responsibility, man.
Yeah, there's that too.
And there's and like other venues with like insurance and lawsuits and all. Nobody's trying to.
The only way we're going to really get around this is when we have some kind of vaccine that I think people are able to take, so that we can have some assurance that we can prevent massive outbreaks of it, right? And I know that's another problem in and of itself, because there's going to be a lot of people that'll be unwilling to take.
Have you got a vaccine for the flu before?
No, but
me either.
But guess what? At 50, we're supposed to be doing it every year now. That's when they recommend it.
Okay, so at 50, we're supposed to get colonoscopies. Have you set yours up?
I have not.
I just had my first phone call with it. I'm so scared. They put in the doctor quotes the Michael Jackson drug. I'm so scared to do it. I know we have to do it at 50. We have to do it.
You're right. Yeah,
and I'm scared. It's part of. So you're 50. You look great.
I'm actually 51.
You look great.
Thanks. I have this long beard to cover all my double chins, and it's really gray, so that makes me look a little older maybe than I am.
But music keeps you young. Like what we do keeps us young, for sure.
I think so, yeah.
But the colonoscopy is super important. Any 50-year-olds listening, we have to do that at 50, and now they're saying you have to do it at 45, actually. So I'm scared to do it, but I know I have to do it, man.
It's crazy.
All my friends do it.
The good news, though, is the prostate exam, I think, is largely gone. They can just check your blood. You can do a blood test and see whether or not you'd have to get a prostate exam. So.
And there's also, not to be gross, I looked up the other day, you can poop in a box and send it in. I saw online.
The Cologuard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. The Cologuard.
So I don't know if I would do that instead.
So if you're not at high risk, this is what I understand. I'm not a doctor.
Break it down, Trevor.
But if you're not at high risk for colonoscopy, like if it doesn't run in your family, or colon cancer, it doesn't run in your family, then you could be a candidate for that less invasive test. And that buys you like another 5 years before you.
I'm going to try that, dude. Because I'm so stressed about getting put on my first drug. Everybody else gave me the Michael Jackson drug. They're going to knock me out. I'm just scared about the whole thing. Have
you never had any kind of surgery for anything?
No, man.
Really? You've avoided that, huh?
I've never tried anything. I've never tried anything in my entire life.
Wow.
Except for coffee. And that fucked me up last year. I can't do it anymore.
You know what? It's a drug. It's a
really
legal
is.
one, but caffeine, it definitely has a serious physiological effect on
I know, and I wanted to be a grown up. I was like
100%.
turning 50. And my rusty. Everybody drinks coffee. They go on these long walks through Europe to the nice coffee shops. So I started drinking it. It made me hyper. It made me dehydrated. It made me shit myself. It made me like come down really heavy. It's hard, man. It doesn't work for my body, man.
Yeah, some people it doesn't even have much of an effect on it all. So it just kind of
they drink it
really
so much.
depends on your physiology, I guess.
I learned a lot about you today, and I appreciate your time. Like I had no idea you were straight. Just everything. This has been. I appreciate you driving straight here from Vegas.
Oh, no worries.
But I think I'm going to do that colonoscopy thing you said in the box. I think it might be the move. Are you thinking more towards that? Because you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Well, I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail.
Oh, so you're going to do it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God,
That's
dude.
what's set up for
I want
me.
to know how it goes. So we basically put poop,
I'll have to get back to you on that.
so we basically put poop in a box and send it back?
Pretty gross, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but still, were you doing that because you're nervous about going to get the thing?
No, basically because I have no real risk factors.
Me either.
Or any history.
I answered. I had a 45-minute phone call to the doctor, and my answers to every question was no, you smoke, you drink, I had none of that stuff either. So
Right. So
and my insurance doesn't. They don't cover. They cover the whole thing except I have to pay $250 out of pocket, which is not bad because of anesthesia. That Blue Cross doesn't cover that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so you're doing it.
So the one thing you don't want to have to do is the thing you got to pay for, the anesthesia part.
Yeah, exactly. but the guy's like, this is gonna be the best $250 you save in your life.
Right. No, it's important to get screened at this point for sure.
We're gonna get real weird now because we're almost done. But have you been snipped before? You got snipped?
I was, yeah.
Me too.
Right after my daughter was born.
I don't know why I asked you that, but I got snipped too.
So I
Talking some shit.
my wife and I decided,
Fuck the music. We're talking about some
maybe
crazy
on me
now.
more than anyone.
My wife decided too.
I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to have any more. 2 is good. I'm happy with the 2. I would have been good with 1 actually, and I shouldn't ever say that because I love my daughter dearly and she's an amazing person.
Hope she's not listening. Okay? She loves you.
But we decided together that we'd have 2. I think my wife would have been more willing to go like maybe even 3 and 4, but I was like 2's going to be good.
So you got the snip.
So I got snipped right after my daughter was born. Like she was a little baby, bundle infant, and I was in there having my vas deferens soldered.
Yeah.
Watching smoke go up between my legs.
Yeah, I highly doubt that your wife was in there filming it, taking pictures. The doctor's like,
she wasn't.
My wife filmed it, took pictures. The smoke was coming off, and then she handed my son the jar with the tubes. Here you go. You're not.
My God.
Because we had so many talks with my son. Do you want to have another sibling? He's like, no. My wife. The doctor's name. His name is Dr. Sachs.
No way.
And he's in Beverly Hills. He's been doing it for 30 years.
Amazing.
And so after that, 3 of my friends went to him. So shout out to Dr. Sachs. We got real weird now with the colonoscopy. He's getting snipped anyway. Trevor, thank you. I appreciate everything you've done in music. You continue to do. I love my band plays with you. We have such good. I love H2O and Face to Face together. I think it meshes really well. We had great shows with you guys last year.
I want to say real quick, and I know you're wrapping it up.
Oh, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I feel bad I kept you so long.
After not having like hung out with you and the guys for it's been sporadic over the years.
Yeah.
It's been sporadic, but it was more in the 90s that we did more shows.
Yeah.
Mostly shows together. After that huge gap, and then hanging out with you again this past October on the Lagwagon thing. Please, can we do more shows together?
Yeah, we talked about
really,
Europe
really
too,
enjoy it. I would love to do more stuff with you guys.
It was such a great package with us and Lagwagon, you guys. It was so fun.
Yeah,
it'd be like fun on the East Coast too.
For sure. It'd be a good vibe. When we're able to get back out and do this again, we definitely need to do some stuff.
What's crazy right now is we may hang up on this now and we have a new president or now. It's just really crazy.
Oh, I know.
It's election day, people. We talk for like 2 hours and we're trying just to avoid of just looking at politics, and we're going to check our phones after this and something could have changed or not. We don't know, man. It's crazy.
Without getting into politics at all, I want to say this little bit
say
about
your shit,
it.
brother.
Okay. Here it is. I think we are putting far too much focus on the office of the president, and whoever gets elected, it's not going to be the end of the world. 4
I have
years,
to agree with you, man.
4 years from now, we're going to be able to change it again. Yeah. We live in a country where we're lucky enough to make these changes with some regularity. And for anyone who feels like it's going to be a do or die situation, whoever the president is,
going to make it through it, man.
Things probably won't change all that much because it's incremental over time, and it's just not going to be the end of the world. So don't stress. Don't stress is my message.
I like it. You're
I
giving
would like
some positive
to give
vibes.
to people. Please don't stress.
We're going to make it through it.
We will definitely make it through it. And at the end of the day, things do continue to get better, and they will. We're in a rough thing right now with the pandemic and all that. But
yeah, I voted.
It's not going to last forever.
We voted. We use our voice. We talk about things in music. We express ourselves.
Politics aren't the most important thing in life. The most important thing in life are the connections we make through our family and our friends.
I agree.
And the experiences that we have together. So while they are important, I think maybe there's a little bit too much of a fever pitch importance.
I think everything's magnified 1,000 times by social media and everything right now. Like before, I think Obama was the first person to start tweeting. Before all that, we just lived our lives. We do what we know. We knew what was going on in the elections, but it's been so magnified by 1,000 times. I'm
not saying issues aren't important, and I'm not saying
for sure.
Don't bury your head in the sand. It's important to be involved in all of this.
Yeah, you have no choice.
But we've reached a level of like the threat of violence and crazy shit that almost makes it seem like we're not living in a civilized country anymore. Mm-hmm. So things have the ability to change and get better, and even if it's not the result you were hoping for, or you or I or anyone, the world won't end. The world will not end.
And I think
we'll get through it.
I think now more than ever, especially after today, what happens, we have to have live music, man. And I'm going to say this too, not trying to be political either, but it's interesting how people are fighting for Disneyland to come back because Disney is the place of joy. It fills people's hearts.
Yes.
Music does the same thing for so many people that are listening right now. Like, I think music's essential as well, man. It heals people, man.
It absolutely is.
But we're the lowest on the totem pole. Music and the arts, we're like, nobody's even talking about us, man. We're like the lowest on the totem pole. It's just frustrating. But I know when it's our time, it's our time. I'm not trying to rush anything. Like I said, be the first man to go out there and get people sick. I get it. We got to wait. But it's just, I never took for granted playing music. I'm sure you haven't either. And I love what we do. But it's hard, like not knowing what's going to happen for us to get on the stage again. And it could be the most incredible first show back, or it could be the most weirdest social distance show we ever play. Like we talked about before, like playing like a less capacity. Like who knows what's going to happen, but it's exciting to know one day we'll do it, you know?
If we have the confidence to know that there are some remedies out there, whether it's a vaccine or what are people calling something that can help relieve symptoms or prevent your symptoms from going into a point where it's super dangerous.
Yeah.
Therapeutics, I guess, is what the word I was looking for. If people feel that they have those options available to them, then I think people won't have to be as scared about even contracting coronavirus.
There's a lot of fear out there.
So if we can cut through the fear and put people's minds at ease, we'll be able to get back out there and play. And I know there's people that are waiting to get back out and go to live shows. I'm one of those. I'm on both sides of the column. I want to play music and I want to go to live shows too.
Would you rather see a live show first and be the one playing it?
No, I'd rather play it.
Yeah.
Just because I enjoy that side of it better.
Last question, top 5. I know the 3 is Descendants, Bad Religion, and Fugazi with 3 influences. But you have a top 5 like artist or musician. Somebody that's not punk rock. Some of the people are like, oh shit, Trever likes that.
Oh, not punk rock.
Yeah,
well, I wanted to throw the Clash in with the punk rock stuff.
Best.
Because I didn't mention that, and it actually took me a lot longer to. I've been aware of the Clash.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, like Rock the Casbah was on the radio every 5 seconds, so I always liked them.
Yeah.
I didn't really ever have a full appreciation for the Clash until the recent couple decades.
Nice.
You know,
Sandinista's an interesting
really
album
too. I love all the Clash records except Cut the Crap, but that's not really a Clash record.
But something people are like, oh, Trever listens to. It will be something we nobody know you listen to.
Well, I think people that know me probably already know. I'm a
huge
Smiths fan.
Okay.
I love the Smiths are probably my favorite band.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm a big Moz head. I love Morrissey.
Okay. Meat is Murder. It's a classic.
I love The Cure, right up until Disintegration.
Okay.
I probably don't really go after, but those.
Wow. Okay.
But I cherish all the records previous to that.
Artist.
I like some darker kind of stuff from that era too, like Joy Division.
Yeah.
Big Joy Division fan.
My wife was that shit.
I like New Order. Speaking of Joy Division.
Yep. Duran, NXS.
You know what? NXS is one of those bands that I don't love everything they do, but the stuff I do love, I really love. Like, that's why we covered Don't Change.
Yeah.
I always thought that was just such a great song,
So good, man. Such a great song.
And it doesn't really fit with some of the other cheesier dance music they did later in their career.
And they blew up.
But, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't really think I liked a lot of country music, but living in Nashville,
Opened your mind.
It reinforced me for like the roots country stuff I love. Like, I really like Johnny Cash a lot. I like Patsy Cline.
Johnny Cash is punk.
And some of that kind of earlier roots country stuff too.
Yeah. What about hip hop? Any hip hop?
Always been a fan of Elvis.
All right. I can see that with you.
I tried my hand at working with some hip hop producers.
Oh, wow.
And I had a label on my Antagonist label. I did some stuff.
Oh, interesting.
I put out a KRS-One record.
You did?
And yeah.
Which album?
It's called Life.
Holy shit! It's one of my favorite artists. That's crazy.
Really?
Dude.
Okay,
yeah, dude. Wow.
So
He's
I kind of
genius, dude.
I mean, I think there's great moments in hip hop.
Yeah.
But it's not a genre in general that it's like I don't connect with it.
Beastie Boys, you like?
Lot. I love Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
But not all of it. Not all of it either there. I think that's a little hit and miss too.
Okay.
When they were on, they were really, I think Check Your Head is like a brilliant album, start to
like
finish.
Paul's Boutique?
I do like Paul's Boutique, but I think Check Your Head's better.
Okay. I'll disagree. I love Paul's Boutique. But dude, KRS-One, that's crazy, dude. Wow. It's a big deal. Did you work with him? You meet him and stuff?
I didn't meet him,
Okay.
but I worked with a producer that made the album and then delivered it to me. So I was kind of had a label that had the distribution that put it out at the time.
That's cool, man. Wow.
Yeah.
So country,
Trippy
pop.
Trippy stuff.
Yeah. What about any pop music? Like U2?
I love U2. Okay. Yeah. I don't even know if I guess they're pop, right?
Yes.
They kind of came out through the whole 80s new wave.
Here's a real question. You like Coldplay?
Not really. No.
I love asking people that question. That's my favorite. But yeah, some people hate them, some people don't. Yeah.
I can't say I hate them, much in the same way. I'm indifferent about them.
Yeah.
They're just such a milquetoast, mediocre, boring.
Yo, people listening, this is incredible. They know I'm a freaking Coldplay freak.
You are? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Sorry,
I love hearing that. Some people, I like to ask that. Some people are like, nah. Some people really love them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be insulting
It's all good.
to your taste.
But thanks to shout out to Freddie Madball who turned me on to Coldplay. People are like, how do you like Coldplay? Well, Freddie from Madball turned me on to it on the Warped Tour. I was like, okay. I
Cool.
love 'em. U2, Prince.
Love Prince. Yeah.
Yeah.
1999. Come on.
Incredible, man.
Great record.
Hi, Mama. We're all finished, babe.
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. Incredible.
Sometimes we'll break into Purple Rain sometimes when we play live just for the
I
fun
like
of
that. I like you guys bringing outside influences on your records. I like that. I learned a lot about you today, Trevor.
Thanks,
I really
man.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's been great hanging out.
This is your life.
Thank you for
nutshell.
inviting me into your home and hanging out and everything.
Man. I'm excited
It's
people
been
to
a
hear
blast.
this, man. Yeah. It's good to reconnect with you last year, and this is awesome. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. How can they find anything you're working on?
My book and all of the
lyrics.
limited edition records and stuff that I've put out through my own label is at IamTheAntagonist.com.
Okay.
That's where all that stuff is. Everything else you're going to want to go to Fat Records for.
Yeah, I
All
love that you
face-to-face stuff.
released your own records on your own label. That's cool. The vinyl. It's awesome to be able to do that.
I do very limited runs. It's kind of a boutique-y thing.
It's smart,
you
though.
know, so.
And this book is super cool, man. The complete lyrics from 1990, 2020. This is really cool, man.
Awesome.
And you can get this anywhere, right? This book's out now, right?
It's out now. It is a limited edition of 1,000, and the stock is running low, but there still are copies. So IamTheAntagonist.com if you want to find it.
And when's the new Face-to-Face record come out?
Man, I hope it's coming out in April of next year, but there's no set release date.
But it's supposed to come out this
It's
year.
up in the air. It could have.
Yeah.
It could have.
Is there a name that people know? You're not announcing the name or nothing.
No, we're not
Okay.
even that. We're not
Okay.
even that deep into it. It's just a bunch of songs right now.
Anybody win yet? Okay. All right. Trevor, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time.
All
I
right.
think we covered everything.
I believe we did.
If not, then I'll get you on the phone. We'll do a part 2. Okay, Austin, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.